Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
In the year of the primal course, dawn of the terrestrial birth, man mastered the mammoth and horse. Man is the lord of the earth. He made him in a heart of a holy tree. He compassed the earth therein. Man was the lord of the sea. He controlled the vigorous steam. He harnessed the lightning for hire. He drove the celestial team. And man was the lord of the fire. Deep mouthed from their thrones, deep seated, the aeons declare that the last of the demons defeated. For man is the Lord of the air. Arise, O man, in thy strength. The kingdom is thine to inherit, till the high gods witness that man is the Lord of his spirit.
Beautiful. Sorry about that.
Aleister Crowley, by the way, one of probably our favorite poems from him, and it's deep.
So think about this. You know, you can think of the evolution of beings, of animals, you know, as kind of consciousness, you know. So the vessel, so our vessel, our bodies, you know, way back in the primal times, as you were saying, you know, our vessels were more primitive, you know, but as our brains developed and as our bodies developed, you know, our antenna, you can think of your body and your brain as an antenna. That antenna developed to a point where it could start to receive consciousness. It could start to receive consciousness at a higher connection, you know. And it's like you know, we're playing the greatest game of hide and go and seek, you know, and it began, you know. Now we can start to wonder, wow, this is weird. This is strange with this life, you know, and it's like, you know, all, you know, the singularity is the goal, enlightenment, freedom from this, you know, realizing the unifying nature of it all, behind everything, behind the goddess and the god, behind every creature, there's just the one, you know, and that's the kick.
Yeah,
I think.
yes. You know, there's a lot of terms that I wasn't familiar with until recently, and I read, like, what is celestial team? Because I've actually never heard of that term. And a lot of people in Thelema has talked about this poem a lot, and, you know, they talk about it's such an inspiration to man, the accomplishments that, you know, everything that we've overcome. You know,
right.
The fact that we're still here.
That is
really big.
But also, you know, I play around with the idea that man is like, you know, the pentagram, which is the name of that poem,
yes,
I believe.
Yes.
The pentagram is the shape of a man.
Yes.
And it's encompassed by a circle, and it has the four elements: earth, air, fire, water. And then there's the fifth element that's at the top, at the head, the pineal gland, DMT. You know, that's spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what holds it all together. So I think that, you know, in our planet, man is like the final evolution of some sort. Like like nature was paving the way
for this to happen.
For our,
well,
you know, not that we don't have any more evolution to do, but this form that we're in, we're close.
You see, there's a lot of kind of unfortunate things about this, because I feel like,
or maybe we'll blow it.
See, that's kind of,
we'll start again, another 10 trillion years.
The stuff that's going on, you know, we talked about this earlier. You just kind of want to climb into a cave and live out in the middle of the woods.
Yes.
And just separate from this. It'd be better on us, but
we talked about this, and what I said was, although I share the same feeling as you do, and I would love to retreat to the nearest, no, not the nearest, retreat to the most remotest cave in the forest and have the holy books and have the plants and just not associate with all the bullshit that goes on in culture. But Ram Dass talks about this, be the Buddha, whatever occupation you're doing or wherever you're at, be the Buddha, and the Buddha could be someone checking you out at a gas station, and using your body as an aperture for highest consciousness to shine through. Using your body as an aperture for highest consciousness to shine through. That could also be said like this: use your body as an aperture for God to shine through. Because I believe that, if we're going to have this dualistic approach, okay, what I mean by that is man and God. I think they're one and the same. I think we are whatever God is, sticking its head into time for a while and experiencing this perfect, harmonious, full circle experience, and the joy of waking up and all that.
Even though it doesn't seem like it in this state that
right.
we are in now.
And I think a big reason why it doesn't a lot of the times is because of the powerful minds nets that the culture casts onto all of us,
I want to crack a little joke real quick before we go on, but we was talking about sometimes we're tempted just to, as Terrence McKenna says, go green, go live in the jungle.
Yeah.
And then if somebody ever, once we get there, if somebody ever tried to, they got into our area of the woods, we would have to say, "No man has dared come to the hermitage." Or we had to say Twilight Zone quote.
What was I going to say too? One more thing about that. I said, if we just completely retreated, now that if you feel in your heart that that's the right thing for you to do, I think we should all follow our intuitive heart as long, but you gotta be careful about that too, because your intuitive heart can be clouded by your ego.
Yeah.
So if you've worked on that and you have gotten into this place where your ego is not so such a focal point, I know it feels so good, and you feel in your heart that being a hermit is the way to go, then you must make that choice. But we can be a light to all the people that we come in contact with, and we can relieve the suffering of people around us as best we can, and and we can be a help to our area wherever we're at.
So he talks about at the end of this, a line is, "The kingdom is thine to inherit." And I like to look at that a lot of different ways. Like, you can think of it this earth. Like, let's look at the most basic part of this. Like, there's no property lines and there's no private, like, this is all our kingdom.
Exactly. That's a revelation I had on mushrooms one time. I looked out the window and I was like,
what is this earth property is which you speak of?
Exactly.
It's so silly.
It's nothing more but language. I've said this a million times. Our world is made of language. And this is what I get out of that too on a 3D level is we can run this world any way we want. It doesn't have to be this rigid way.
And I also think of the kingdom as we have an option. Do we want to keep being reincarnated?
Yes, that's it.
Or are we ready to
inherit the kingdom?
And we talked about it earlier, crossing the abyss.
Yes, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, I have some things to talk about that as well. But yeah, I've read like little bits and pieces of this, but I wrote it down yesterday and I just thought I wanted to start off with reading the whole thing actually. But it's meant so much to really both of us, recently, the past few months.
And it's unique because Crawley actually there's actual footage of him
I know.
reciting it, which is really cool and rare.
It's so unbelievable we have that. It's supposedly like 1911 or something like that when he done that.
Man, he was so ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that he would even be like, you know what, I want to record this so that
the fact that there's so many pictures of him is another thing.
That is very weird.
I mean, not just pictures.
And there's ritualistic pictures too.
That's what's weird. Him with his cape and his
garb
his actual mask.
Yeah.
And it's
that one. He's like this. He's going like
I
this.
was thinking that on my way up here.
Whoa.
That picture.
That's so crazy. And man,
dude.
he was. And I find this to be true when I look at the lives of many geniuses.
Yeah.
They all say the same thing about ideas. They say, this didn't come from me. I was simply the conduit in which it manifested in this world. You know, Tesla said that. A lot of artists and scientists say that.
This is a big problem. You know, a lot of people like certain accomplishments.
Yeah.
They can't wait to get to the part where they're bragging about it in front of a party or a group.
That's their main goal. Ram Dass talked about this. He said when he got his PhD, he said he basically just got his PhD out of the fear of being a loser.
All right.
You know?
I want to mention something real quick that you talked about just a few minutes ago. You was talking about, you know, you can look at people. Certain people have so much depth to them.
Yeah.
And then you can tell that, you know, they're trying to live their lives as genuine as possible and actually, you know, have removed a lot of the layers of hatred and, you know, selfishness, you know, not caring what happens to anybody else.
Not being so egocentric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people don't believe in that. They think everybody's evil.
Yeah.
And for anybody who thinks that, simply just look up Ram Dass.
Literally.
You can't.
What an inspiration he is. Oh my gosh. He means so much to me.
You know what's strange? I can be like in a really psyched up mood listening to like Electric Wizard,
Right.
you know, looking at like badass pictures of Crawley or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's a time for that because it's like an anger.
Yeah.
And
there, you know, I mean, Christ talked about this, you know, righteous anger. You know, there are things that we should be rightfully angry about, you know. I mean, our planet is being destroyed and decisions are being made on a daily basis that are completely below consciousness and out of greed and money and things like that. And we should be angry. We should be angry at the human soul being suppressed by the state. You know, all of us and want it to some extent experience you know, our potential being squashed by existing in the industrial complex that we live in.
You know, I want to kind of change the subject really quickly, my good man, but I had this revelation yesterday that everything, and this is kind of dangerous talk, you know.
Yeah.
People, you know, thankfully, really nobody watches these, so.
Even if they did, if the FBI came to our door, we'd be like, we're just joking.
Exactly.
We're just carrying on. We had a few beers. We got a little crazy, but.
Look, I fucking had a whole cigar, man.
Yeah. Got fucked up.
What's that thing laced with? But no, seriously, I had this revelation of, you know, that a lot of this entertainment that everybody talks about, and by the way, we grew up on watching movies.
Yeah.
Yes, we never really liked modern movies.
No.
We loved stuff 60s, 70s, and 80s.
A lot of older stuff and horror.
I want to actually break down how you can tell these things apart.
Okay.
Hellraiser, for example.
Mm-hmm. Great film.
It's nothing is wrong with that. In fact, it makes you think of the afterlife.
Yes, it does.
No, a movie like that is okay.
And the karma of
exactly.
of your
that's the most
bad
important
actions.
part.
Yes, sir.
So there are ways, and I didn't even tell you the point that I wanted to say earlier. You can look at the first few minutes of a movie and tell if it's going to benefit your spirit or not.
And that right there, benefit your spirit, that is the criterion which anything that passes your brain should pass.
Now, what is corrupt and what is true evil is if you get through a movie and these actors and these directors are trying to get the masses to buy into how, say, for example, you're supposed to treat your wife or your girlfriend or your kids. Everybody's lives, run differently.
Yeah.
And there's different circumstances in everybody's, situations.
And everybody's personality is different. And
like to us, there's somebody that used to live down the road from us in a log house who I made a joke. I'm just going to state this. I don't have to, but I love my wife more than anything.
Yeah.
But I cracked a joke that on our wedding anniversary many years ago, somebody had given us some kitchen utensils. And I had a oven mitt, and I said, I'm not going to use that for this. I'm going to use it to slap her in the face with when she doesn't cook when I want to. And this particular person thought I was the most evil person in the world.
It's cracking a joke.
But that's another thing. I don't want to go off on topic, but the world is too tense these days.
Yes, it is.
We've got to
and so many people, especially with social media, obviously me and you are not a part of that, but we are aware that people cling to every word someone says.
But you know what's funny about this? A lot of times, it's probably just some fucking robot trying to get people fucking riled up at each other.
Dude,
that's all there is these days.
I've seen people talk about this and demonstrate, dude. So many of the comments and things on Reddit are bots, Russian bots and other kind of bots that are just there to stir stuff up or propagandize.
Now, I know I'm going off on a different subject. I'll go back to what I was saying, but, just because somebody's thinking that they can do something, whatever it is, we've talked about this a lot. Terrence McKenna talks about it. I think it's Terrence McKenna. Maybe it's Rob Ross.
Okay.
Maybe both. Doesn't mean that you should actually go through with it just because you can do something.
Yes.
We actually are living in a time where it's very possible that robots can take over the world.
Yeah.
We need to rise above that, and we need to actually get back to the magic of what this is supposed to be.
Right. That's one of the big things that's been robbed from us with,
with this, by the way?
The advent of technology. Yes, sir. We should be bored sometimes.
Yeah.
We should be silent sometimes. God damn it.
Where did they go, by the way?
I got you, dude. I see it. Sorry, everybody. Dropped the old incense. Weird. But we should be bored sometimes. We shouldn't be constantly
busy.
Yeah, constantly distracted, and we need time to be quiet. And another thing is, I've been doing some visualization exercises recently, and I discovered, to my horror, that I'm going to have to practice a little bit on that, because it's not quite as good as I wish it was.
Maybe even as good as it was in the old days.
Totally.
When you was a teenager.
Yeah.
You probably.
And I had no access to the internet, very little.
It's changed things.
So we need to spend less time, on the internet, honestly.
And I just want to finish up what I said earlier before I start talking about something different, because we really do have a lot of stuff we kind of want to talk about.
Definitely.
But yeah, there's actually ways to judge if there's any true depth to, what your entertainment is, what kind of movie that you're watching, the people that you are around, music. But I had this literally yesterday, a revelation on it. And a lot of things, especially this day and time, and even when we were teenagers, we talked about everything seems to be watered down now.
Sanitized.
It's sanitized. I love that term.
Yeah.
But we really all need to be more cautious about the stuff that we're taking in. And
Or
this,
eating, what kind of
Yeah.
psychoactive stuff we're taking.
I feel that this is, I feel like, a good way to give an introduction on crossing the abyss. I'll let you probably give a more broad explanation on it, because I've been rambling for the past 8 to 10 minutes,
All
probably.
good, brother. It's already 20 minutes. That's fucking great.
So, to make a long story short on this part, one thing that I really want to point out, because I've really realized this to be the total truth, the things that are considered bad is actually the gateway to get to the truth.
Yes.
Whether this is,
This is what LeVay talked about.
horrible, horrible, evil weed,
Yeah.
horrible, horrible, evil kratom, horrible, horrible,
Mhm.
evil kava, psychedelics.
Yeah. Psychedelics. I've heard so many Christians say this.
Satan.
That, you know, the entities you see on psychedelics, those are demons. You know, they say that.
I just watched a video on
Yeah,
that, man,
yeah.
not too long
And you know
ago.
what? Some of them might be.
Oh, exactly.
But
That's
if they exist, I think we should be aware of it.
for sure. But this is all a very important part of this, brother.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry to cut you off.
All good.
I'll let
I'm
you
just
go
rambling
off
too,
now.
so go ahead.
Yep, I'll stop there actually for now. I'll let you get a little better. Obviously, I'll just throw this out there. Yeah, you know, I get excited and then I don't really talk plain. Sometimes I'll look back at my videos and I don't even know what I said.
Yeah.
Look, I'm just being moved and I'm just
Right.
trying to.
We don't have fucking mics. Like, this is literally
as
the
raw
most bare,
as bears can
minimal.
get.
You know, we're not. You know, we're not Mr. Moneybags. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a studio, and even if we did, we wouldn't get many views. That's not what we're doing this for. You know, we're doing this to get this out here because we feel so convicted. You know, and
We really do.
anybody,
Yeah.
you know, anybody that has, you know, experiences of awakening, whether through psychedelic compounds or plants, or through meditation, or through just one-on-one with nature, or, you know, just simply just being like, imagine just living in a city your whole life and then one day going to Montana and camping. You know, you're looking up at the sky and it's just you can see the universe, you can see the Milky Way, and that right there is a mystical experience, you know, in which you'll say, oh my gosh, this is so incredible.
This is what's so sad, that people who live in big cities, they don't even know what the sky looks like.
No.
There's so many fucking lights up with these skyscrapers and everything. Imagine living your whole life and never actually seeing the moon,
Oh my gosh.
the stars. But I've heard people talk about it. I know one person that used to live in a big city and moved down here, and he thinks it's so strange. You
Mhm.
know? I actually met a gentleman.
This is
really,
you know, when you're in nature, like
Mhm.
in the woods, you know, and
it's where it's
quite
at,
far away, that is naked.
Yeah.
You know, that is
brother.
there's no illusion there.
I just want to say this real quick.
We should touch base with that as often as we can.
Actually, we both are, by the way, enraged is an understatement to how we feel, and anybody really should see it this way. And I hate that kind of term that I just used, like everybody should see it the way we
Right,
see it.
right.
I'm not saying that at all, but it's just like, how can you say that if there's a big Sasquatch standing right in front of you, look, like it's right there, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's the way this is.
Self-evident. It's self-evident.
You know, the way that, as you mentioned, the forest, and even more importantly, the rainforest, you know, it's always reducing.
Yep.
People are trying to take them out, put them into this garbage.
You know why? A big reason why they're slashing and burning the rainforest. They literally burn it. There's people
God.
come in from China and Russia. They'll burn acres of it so that they can start to use the land as for cows to graze, to make Burger King
Dude,
patties.
I'm going to
You know,
say this.
and
I
the
don't want to
reason-
live in this kind of world.
I don't either.
I mean, like,
I don't either.
this is
But
disgusting.
that's why we can, you know, embody this state of consciousness, you know, because
we need to
it.
somehow contact some
Yeah.
of these people. I don't even know how it's possible.
Yeah, I told you
I'll
about
look into
the
it.
Paul Rosalie guy.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know who Paul Rosalie is, look into him. He's a hero, truly.
But these horrible, evil people burning the rainforest.
Oh yeah, a big reason they're doing it is because it's not owned by anybody. It's the indigenous peoples. So they're just displacing the indigenous people,
Do you believe
ruining
in-
their home because they can
I-
take advantage of it.
That makes my heart go.
It makes my heart sink too. Man.
And this brings me to tears.
Yeah.
I really.
That is
mean
the
it.
heartbeat of the world.
And you know what? It's that I think that's where most of our anger probably comes from.
It really is.
I imagine, I swear to you, and I may be like a little tad autistic. People say now it's probably not true, but if you can envision things without really seeing them, like in that kind of vivid way, then that's it means you may have that. It's probably not right.
Yeah.
But I can actually
People say
go
that.
outside and get in the car and drive down the road to a more concrete like place with buildings, and I can just actually picture it the way it used to be.
I know. I do
And
that too.
This makes me, and you have some idiot that's only just trying to race ahead of everybody, not caring how reckless he's being just to get to the liquor store.
Yeah.
Like this is the worst kind of society to live in. I
We're
really
living, but it's also very interesting.
It is.
It's
It is.
very
It's-
interesting. This melodrama that's playing out, you know.
Something's happening.
Something's happening.
I mean,
for sure. And it's been
happening for a
happening.
reason.
It's been happening for the 20th century just blew the hinges. I mean, things went haywire.
I always say all the time, like, what would somebody like Crawley think about this time
Mhm.
right here? I mean,
He predicted it.
think about, he did, how much has changed since he died in 1947.
Yeah.
He lived in a time to where you can go into a place, into a drugstore, and just literally get heroin or
Mhm.
cocaine. And,
Mhm.
There's
There's much more autonomy. Not that I would suggest anyone
Yeah,
do
because-
cocaine or heroin, but people should have the autonomy over their bodies,
Oh, I want to point this out. Another sucky thing about this day and time. I'm going way off topic. I do realize this, but hey, we're just speaking from our hearts.
Yeah.
This is an interesting fact, brother. I'm just telling the one person who's watching this because he already knows about this, but I didn't know about it. I know you did. Back in the day, the amazing old hippie people had amazing acid.
Yes.
So these people are looking at the younger generation, like them motherfuckers don't have good acid anymore. Because people back then, and people, this is obvious, they wouldn't as cheap acids as they are now.
No.
Now they're giving people acid that's actually 60% less potent than what it used to be in back then. There's been a lot of research on that.
Yeah. That's totally right. Chemists. There was a guy named forget his name, but he was a really famous LSD maker of the '60s. He supplied Ramdas with LSD, like just amazing chemist. He made the best acid.
Everything's going synthetic.
Yes.
Everything this is not a good move, man.
No, it's not. But and another thing about the LSD is they're underdosing the tabs. They're being cheap.
I know.
They'll put, dude,
I done research about this yesterday.
in the '60s and '70s. Do you know how much LSD was on like one tab?
Oh, something crazy.
Like 200 mics.
Yeah.
Do you know how much acid is on the acid that I did? Probably
40.
60. Yeah. So it's significantly underdosed.
But that is true.
This is why I love the mushroom.
You know what you're getting.
That's nature itself is giving that to you. You
This
can grow
is,
it yourself, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Now, granted, I really would like to have a, LSD experience. There's people in our family that was talking to me the other day about this, and I had to keep my mouth shut because I just don't want to start problems with people, But they was talking about, just kind of out of the blue, about how evil like LSD and mushrooms are. And
yeah, the thing that literally exists in your own brain. Yeah, that's evil.
They talked about that it literally, this is the words they used, it melts your brain.
That's literally.
He said, son, I'm telling you, it literally melts your brain. Just out of the blue.
I'll tell you what melts your brain is fucking alcohol.
I know.
That literally, every time you drink alcohol, you're doing damage to your brain. LSD is one of the safest substances we know of. Psilocybin is literally, I know I say this a lot, but let's get out here again. Psilocybin is converted to the liver. In the liver, into 4-phosphorylated NN-DMT. Once it passes through your system, that 4-phosphorylated group comes off. That 4-phosphorylated group was simply a perfect engineering device. Do you see this? Yep.
Yes, sir.
Was
Just a
it,
little bit.
you see what I'm saying? When you look at the mushroom, it really looks like it's been engineered because it's you can't eat DMT.
It's so fucking complex.
You can't eat DMT, but it's like
How strange.
somebody constructed it to where it could be taken orally, and it's because of that 4-phosphorylated group.
Because that's the number one. It's funny. If it's that easy accessible, then it was obviously, here for the beginning to be probably the most.
It's the perfect
used.
psychedelic, and what I'm saying.
It's probably the main one if it's that.
I truly believe it is because all of the other forms of DMT require some type of preparation. Psilocybin does it. Psilocybin is the perfect psychedelic. But what I'm trying to say here is these people that are saying it's evil.
Yeah.
And then DMT is already in your brain.
Yeah.
So
but you are evil.
Exactly. So having a larger quantity of it in your brain than you normally have allows you to see visions. This is the gateway. This is, the mystics talk about the third eye. The third eye is the pineal gland. The pineal gland produces DMT.
Okay.
And the third eye, DMT is the lens in which the third eye looks through. And the third eye looks into the world of spirit, not of matter. You see?
When he was talking about that, I had a revelation.
Yeah.
What if is it possible that this DMT that's already in our brain is for us to not see things exactly the way they are? But if we want to, we have to combine more to get it. What if that's keeping everything running, possibly?
Yeah, I think, it seems to, when you have a psilocybin or a DMT experience, you're tuning in to senses that you don't normally have. So a lot of people theorize that DMT is almost like this little secret or cosmic giggle. I personally believe, and if you have an experience on a high dose of one of these things, you will probably feel the same way. It seems like it is the secret. It is the secret. It's literally hidden in our own bodies. It's in plants. And it is the mystical experience. It's probably what initiated all of these religions. And I truly believe that it initiated religious thought in us,
The truth of the matter is,
real quick, they also think that a lot of people theorize that it comes out right before death.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And when you're born.
Yeah, man. What if that's why we can't remember being born? I mean, I know everything's not developed at all very much, but as you get older, it's been proven that your senses and your imagination, because of culture and capitalism and stuff like that, it starts to kind of strip it away from you.
If you don't use it, you'll lose it.
And what psychedelics do is it brings that back to you and more.
Literally, they're steroids for the imagination.
You know what?
It shows you that you can do anything. Mind is all there is. Imagination.
Now, when I take, some shells of coffee, I'll start talking this way, so don't take it serious. But like this conversation, it just makes me want to go take like 3 to 4 grams of mushrooms right now.
I hope man. I understand, getting a feel for it and taking a small dose, but I'm telling you, man.
Just skip it and just do the real thing.
I'm telling you, man. Obviously, do what you're comfortable with, but
let me tell you how. This is not the orthodox way to go about it, but just have a kratom ceremony. And then do a few shells, in about 30 minutes do it.
Yeah.
Like, that would be, I don't know how it would affect the nauseousness or anything if you have something on your stomach.
I have not one time in my life had nauseousness from mushrooms. But another thing is, I always wait at least 6 hours without eating before eating them. I think a lot of people get nauseous because they eat beforehand or eat pretty close to it. I have, dude. I want you. I don't know if I've ever really talked to you about this, but my body processes mushrooms in the most cleanest way. Like the next day, I'm complete. Not only am I completely baseline,
and
way afterglow.
I want to say real quick, he's not just saying this. This is something that I have witnessed on. I've pretty much seen him the day after any psychedelic experience, and I promise you, he is a different. It's crazy.
Yeah, transforms.
I was confused for a while. I never really actually said this to you, but I was thinking, is he like never going to be the same again?
Yeah.
Like, and when I mean the same, I mean even a much more better person. You're obviously already a cool guy, obviously.
You,
like without, we think each other is cool because you know we're so much different. You know, but it was so strange. Like, and this is before I even, smoked any cannabis whatsoever, or even tried kratom, kava, and I see things differently now because of that. But I was like, oh gosh, what's he talking about? It's so important.
Why is he doing this?
I didn't understand, and now, by the way, I'll clarify. I know I've done, cannabis edibles and stuff like that, and to me,
which is a very psychedelic state.
To me, that's been psychedelic.
Dude, me as someone who has went deep into the tryptamine realm, every time I smoke cannabis, I say, "Well, I'm in a psychedelic space."
I want to do.
It's not hallucinogenic, but it's a psychedelic
edibles
space.
Really soon.
Yeah,
actually, man.
I got you.
But yeah, his afterglow is no joke, and that's the stuff that, if anything else, should motivate us.
Yeah.
Because
it heals you. It heals.
Oh God,
you.
I want to say this real quick.
On a long-term scale.
It
heals addictions.
I can't put into words how much I have changed after my first edible experience.
Yeah.
And every time that I like yesterday was the first time that I had anything to do with cannabis in probably anywhere from 3 weeks to a month. Took like 2 little hits off of that dab pen, and I had to fight through a couple things. I mean, look, I'm like the most sensitive person to cannabis.
Well, you have a little tolerance, and I do too right now.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, it was beautiful though, because I always end up beating myself up, and I think I have to change
every
things.
time.
But I feel like what happens if you start making these changes and then you go back to it and you go back to it, then you can start cracking the surface.
Yes.
Then you can have these mystical
experiences.
Like
psychedelics are like that too. Like at the beginning, when you're going into a 5-gram experience, you should do this this Catholic thing. It's called an examination of conscience. Look at yourself before you even eat them, or maybe eat them, and then while you're waiting, think about all the things that you might be kind of pushing away or might not be happy with that you're doing. Think about that and determine in your mind, okay, I need to fix this. Just so once it starts to come on, you've already got all that stuff out of the way. Now it still might bring up stuff that you need to work on. But as you go deeper in, it becomes less about you.
Smaller things that everybody gets hung up on. This is obviously still important, but there's some big things that we all have to really resolve, and it may take years to get through it. We do stupid things, and it's just in our nature. We make mistakes.
Yeah,
and we learn from these things.
We're not realized beings yet. We're a process.
And this process is what is of the essence.
Yeah.
And you know what? As far as we're going to talk about it here in a second, but Crawley talked about the process of crossing the abyss, and we talked about it the other day. You can't just drop out of this race. It's hard work.
Yeah.
And you can make this enjoyable though as well.
Right.
He talks about it a lot, setting this up as a quest.
Yes.
And it's not like you go to school and then you have homework. It's around the clock.
Yeah.
Focusing on everything, your dreams. What could this mean?
Right.
We discuss it with each other.
Just being conscious.
It's
Being
living
conscious,
consciously.
living
It's
consciously.
the most important
Yeah.
thing.
And everything that happens to you.
Daily, mundane
Yeah.
life. Be conscious about
Exactly. And listen to your heart and quiet yourself and watch, watch the trends and the patterns.
it. Drown out what everybody says, what is right and wrong.
Reject the cultural dream.
That is something we all figure out, is what is actually the right thing to do. I mean, some things is it may work with this, but not with this. But some people would say, both of those are wrong, but it's not really like that. It's a bit more
even
complex.
even if you're doing something that's wrong, that's fine. It's actually right because that is part of your process, of awakening. You're going to make mistakes, and this is something we were talking about earlier. We shouldn't beat ourselves up, if we don't quite understand something, or if we're delving into certain spiritual practices and we feel overwhelmed, like, oh, I'm not good enough for this, I don't think I can do this.
Do you remember that was my problem?
Yeah.
Just 6 months ago or
Yeah.
whatever, really started getting deep into, reading holy books, things about Crawley, and what little bit, man, we've read about Hinduism and stuff. Oh, that stuff stuck with me, man. And I thought for a moment, there's no point in me really delving too deep into this right now because I'm not good enough. I'm not chosen, but it's not about being chosen.
No.
All of us are the same.
Yes.
And but anyway, one thing we did want to talk about, unless you have something to add,
we can go on.
Was yesterday. I've known about this term for a long time. I've never really looked into like what it actually is, which is, I think it was. This was actually a term talked about. I could be wrong on this. By Levi. I think he actually not came up with, but realized what crossing the abyss was.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
It may have been.
But Crawley, he done more work on this. This is like the way I take it, the base of what Thelema is. But there's a lot of things.
I think it's the base of not only Thelema, but
everything.
Yeah.
But they seem to be the only one that, to my knowledge,
talk about it
a lot.
Sir.
I guess Buddha talked about it in a different way.
Buddhism would be like the abyss would be the resolution of your karma and realizing everything and then becoming enlightened on the other side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, look what Buddha went through himself. I mean,
he had to go through all of that process before he awakened.
He's the inspiration everybody should be.
And we are all the Buddha. We just don't realize it.
Exactly. We don't realize it and we don't accept it, but learning to playing that part of learning, learning from the teachers.
School, everything is a teaching.
Yeah, man, but I've always been curious, by the way, if Buddha experimented with psilocybin ever since you told me he died from eating a poison mushroom. That's crazy.
That's what's rumored or in the literature. It says that he died because someone gave him a mushroom and he ate it and it was poisonous. So, my mushroom head wants to say, it would make sense.
Yeah.
We know mushrooms grow everywhere, psilocybin, and we're pretty sure he was smoking cannabis and stuff like that because a lot of that was very common, in India in those days and still is. Was he trying to eat the psychedelic mushroom, and simply made a mistake, or the other person made a mistake? I think it's quite possible. And the visions, all those Hindu deities and stuff, they have like a bunch of arms. Like I've seen that.
I love that.
I've seen that on.
I think
on,
the one
on
you sent me the
psychedelics.
other day was like that.
Yes, Lord Rama or Shiva, or one of them.
What was I gonna say? You just slipped my mind. Actually, classic. What was I gonna say? Crap. What was I talking about?
The abyss.
Something about Buddha, I think.
We're all Buddha.
I think I was gonna crack a joke too and say he was probably hitting those laughing Buddha dab pen.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think that would be really curious to think that obviously, we wouldn't be surprised at all if he done that. It's like I recently found out Crawley mentions Cobb in his poetry. That shocked me at first, but actually it's not surprising at all. Oh yeah, I remember what I was gonna say. I just ramble about something else. I'm trying to
I
remember.
know, me too, man.
But before crossing the abyss or attempting on what this actually is, there was a guy that kind of went a little more in depth about what Crawley had set up. And Crawley was so, the way I take it, really just getting out this information, and that we didn't really have time to look at every possible safety concern.
Right.
And same thing with drug use. A lot of people say, well, he did though. He used his body as a guinea pig. He knew this place was temporary, and he knew that, time was, like with, everybody, is the worst enemy here. But he didn't, he acknowledged that there's no, time to, I'm losing myself here for a second. It's so classic of it, man. I keep stumbling over what I'm going to say.
As soon as and that happens to me too when you leave, I'll start like.
I'll remember once you sit back down. I'm like, oh no, Daddy's gone. I'm getting all weird about it. We're brothers. He's not actually my father. But yeah, okay. So Crawley knew that time was the worst enemy, and there was no time to play around with all his safety concerns. People, speculated over his drug usage and like, well, I wouldn't have chose those drugs, in particular, cocaine, which back then he was obviously, everybody would be so happy that has done cocaine to get the quality that he did.
Yeah, for real.
But he talked about it in his Diary of a Drug Fiend. He said that he was his own body was the perfect guinea pig. Right. And all these scientists are looking.
The idea that your body is an alchemical vessel.
That shows how advanced he was.
Yes.
Actually going through with that and not really worrying about that.
Right.
I'm not saying he was reckless, because he was not one bit reckless. This is another complex thing. Like LaVey
he was not doing these things and the way
escape reality.
He was doing it to alter his consciousness, perturb his consciousness, so that he could better understand these, higher states of consciousness.
We actually want to put this point across, though. People like LaVey and, like I said, Crawley was not doing these things, and like LaVey talks about indulgence.
Right.
But he was never an alcoholic. He was never a chain smoker. I don't think he ever smoked at all.
I don't think so either, which is really crazy for his time. But Satanism, that is indulgence done consciously. I'm not going to drink alcohol every day because that would harm me, and that would not be an indulgence. You see, I can eat food that's not going to kill me and still enjoy it fully. That does not necessarily imply self-destruction.
Everybody in one way or another is looking for this escape, but I got off topic. Exactly. None of us, there's no reason to self-instruct. It's self-destruct. It's going to prohibit us from living how we are actually supposed to.
We don't want to cloud our minds, with toxins.
And the kind of
that.
stuff that drugs people do, man, especially right now. Everybody's all obsessed with these pills that you can get from the doctor. It's so inferior. It's so laughable, honestly.
It is.
Somebody, not really laughable. I mean, it's very sad, sense. But it's laughable that somebody's never done the research.
Right.
And that's
what disturbs me too.
It's disturbing.
People literally don't even know what class the drug that they're doing every day is a part of. It's insane.
Most people don't, though. Yeah. I want to say, up until last couple years, I didn't know anything. I'm still learning about different things, but a lot of these like holy plants, I didn't know. I mean, I've heard of him, but until we got together and we
Right.
started talking about these things, and he studied these different sacred plants, probably early teenager,
Yeah.
But anyway, just like we mentioned with cannabis, it's like it's getting you ready by telling you what to work on yourself about before you actually get down to some of the more mystical things.
Yes.
That's kind of like a good way to prepare, the way I take it when crossing this abyss.
Yes, sir.
And it's complicated, like
Yeah.
what that actually means,
Yeah.
But the guy that was writing this essay I wrote, that he wrote, not essay that I wrote. I'm have too much coffee right now, dude. I am actually kind of out there, but really speaking from my heart, obviously, that's all you can do. I'm getting cracked up for now. I can't stop laughing. I've been holding back that little giggle there for the past. People don't think I'm like
that laugh that only a Buddha can laugh.
Oh man, but he talked about things that we have to get worked out before this metaphysical experience.
Yes.
And it's like there's a lot of things that go into it. Meditation.
Yeah.
Drug use. And it's like this long journey. And if I get anything wrong, obviously you can come in and correct it. Just the way I took it. And at the end of the day, it's actually losing your ego.
Yes.
It's completely dissolved.
Yes.
And it seems like maybe that's a reason, he really got into mescaline to really help that.
Yeah, he was using the tools he had available.
I kind of got a feeling if you do psychedelics, it's not just going to give you all the answers right now. You may have to do it a few times.
You have to work with
some other practices.
For sure. That's the thing too. Definitely.
But let's just ask ourselves a question real quick. I mean, how long have we been talking? Okay. I think it sounds crazy, but I think I'm going to drink this other shell.
Go ahead, man.
But do you think, let's just be truthful here to each other, do you think we are preparing to cross the abyss, or is it possible we've just started?
I'd say we've already started.
That's cool, man.
Because this is the way I think of it. You have we'll call it the asleep, and then the process of awakening, and then the final awakening or enlightenment. Like that's the stages. So we may have spent, 1 million lifetimes asleep, and convinced, right? Yeah, and convinced that, our monkey brain and its filtration system, that perception is the real thing, But then once you start to question reality, once you start to poke around the edges and start to, study, other people in the past that have awakened, once you let that in, there's really no turning back. So like, I feel like the abyss.
Dude, you're hitting me hard right now, man.
The abyss is that, that space between being asleep and becoming enlightened. Before you get to that part, full liberation,
brother,
you have to go through this pit, which is facing all the things that you don't want to face.
We're crossing it.
Yes.
And
every day we are dealing with these things, But there's also millions of other people out there that are completely content to be asleep, But the process of awakening is not easy. It's not easy,
I want to throw some things in here, man, because this is crazy, but you really can't turn around and go back to the life that you used to have. And I want to stress this.
Yeah, you can't unsee it.
And I have not seen anything close, for example, of things that he's seen on various psychedelics, but I've seen the hand point into the direction of the mystery.
Yeah.
With these really deep conversations, holy books, some plants. And, I've had this thought before that maybe I'll just take a break off the great work for a day or two and do something normal with my life.
Yeah.
but I find myself in the process of doing something normal. That's all I think about in my head.
Me too.
Because as we
That's the
mentioned
only
earlier,
work there is worth doing.
you know, even at our jobs, we are hashing things out in our mind. You know, what the great work, you know, doing this, the great work. Wow, you know what? That's the term. That's what there is here. Um, you know, like certain jobs that I've done in welding. In a way, it's mind numbing and repetitive. Especially like build up work, and you're just like you can kind of zone out. I've fallen asleep as well. But it kind of gives me an opportunity to do some really deep thinking. Um, and I want to say one of the revelations that I had yesterday, and please, if you don't know these amazing gentlemen, Electric Wizard, you know, look at the difference of people who, what kind of substance are they using? And if you don't know, it can usually tell in their personality or their work.
By their fruits you shall know their.
That is the truth. And these plants are maybe not as acknowledged the way that they should be, is because there's hard work to be done with it, especially psychedelics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people personally smoke weed, just say around the clock for pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, it seems like there's too much. It can get scary.
You know, I had a lot of experience with it.
I mean, you've gone deep more than anybody has.
I mean, you know, there's been many periods in my life where I smoked basically all day, every day. And
Kava would do this as well sometimes.
And I mean, it's not always pleasant, you know, and you know, I was thinking about this earlier, like, you know, people back in the 60s, I feel like maybe they thought it was like this real love drug type thing because cannabis was much weaker back then. Yeah. You know, the stuff that's
you know what's funny? By the time Black Sabbath came around, that's when it started to shift to more of this more sinister.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, I say that, but if you think about it, it might even be the same, because if you're smoking cannabis that is 5% THC, that means your tolerance is going to be lower.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's probably about the same. I think it was just it was like a projection.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like okay. Whenever a society says, "Oh, you know, you'll take acid and you'll go insane," then people take acid expecting to go insane.
They kind of will it.
And so they go insane. And so if people were saying, "Oh, these hippies are anti-war," or the weed makes them anti-war, then people just start thinking that weed will make them like all lovey. But as a matter of fact, yeah, language makes everything. But in a matter of fact, cannabis, although it can be beautiful and euphoric, it's also very, very psychological. And some of those places that you can get to is dark. But this is the abyss we're talking about. You know, the cannabis illuminates the abyss and allows you to work through these things and think about things on a mystical level. You know, how should I be living my life? How should I be treating people? What is this? One of the greatest things I love about cannabis is when you smoke it. Normal things that you're just used to seeing. You see, our bodies only detect changes. You see, so when we encounter something a lot, we don't even realize how strange it is. But when you introduce a plant like cannabis, you know, things that you see all the time, plants and animals and the way things are in nature, it's like, wow, it's mind blowing. It's like, this is evidence of God, you know, poking into the 3D dimension, the plants, you know, the sky, the planets, the stars, us, you know, we are all part of this cosmic drama, you know, and it's beautiful and it's going to be hard, but there is a possibility for liberation. You know, we don't have to be chained by our our low level desires, and be chained to wanting to be a certain way to please certain people. We can break out of that and truly start to work on ourselves and truly start to liberate ourselves.
Man, Crossing the Abyss, also, he talked about this in that essay. We're going to look at it after this video and go more in depth with it. I just kind of skimmed through it, but you need to, we, need to continue to remember that we have to let things go. Even our own mortality.
Yeah.
As time goes and people around us.
Yeah.
It's sad. A lot of people that, we know that they just kind of, and I've done this for a long time, think that they're never going to die, I mean,
it's a crazy illusion that,
everybody sees. Another thing personally that I'm trying to work on right now, man, and I will just straight up admit one of my biggest flaws. I just kind of want, I have a little bit of a lot of a control problem. Not in a, I don't talk about it. It's just more of, I keep it inside, think about it.
Right.
The way that people live their lives bothers me, and I kind of like to go up and be like, hey, man.
You don't have to be that way. Yeah.
And, I'm probably going to butcher this, but I think exactly what Crowley said was, intolerance is also the same as impotence. I think that's what he said.
That's cool.
I was like, no, it is a sign of impotence.
Yes.
I was reading Crowley quotes yesterday.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And the wisdom of that man is absolutely crazy, and he's just the prime example of what we said earlier. People talking about horrible things. He's at the top of the fucking list.
Anybody that's trying to fucking suppress people, that's the just the worst type of person.
I want to put this point.
And I do feel the same as you do. I do see, why are people living their lives the way they are when they're complaining about being sad, but look at all the things you're doing. You could incorporate this.
Can I tell you something I'm at this moment deeply troubled by? And actually started this morning. I've never really thought of this before. Everybody is probably not living their lives the way they're supposed to because maybe somebody told them something and altered the way that they actually think.
Yes.
We need to watch a negative comments what we tell to people.
Yes. True.
Dude, this is big. This hurts me because I've done this. How many people have I possibly pulled away from their path, not meaning to?
Right.
Maybe smarter like comment on why you're doing this. They think about it. Oh, maybe this is stupid.
Right.
I mean, probably not.
Right.
I mean, nobody probably listen to me.
You're right, man.
It's just an example. Everybody is putting people down and trying to get them to do it their way.
Like I said, high
How much
consciousness.
Karma would that really bring on?
Right.
I mean, that's horrible. You're getting people off their true will.
Yeah.
We have to let people do whatever they feel
according
is right.
to their intuitive heart. I mean, this is the best way to make change. It's the only way really is you. Your life is your message. You embody your philosophy. You embody this light that you've contacted. Maybe they haven't contacted it, but you have, and you're going to let it just shine through your body and everything you touch, everybody you see, and be compassionate and be high consciousness and be the example.
Another thing, one of the main things, crossing the abyss or getting ready to or just starting, it's scary to think that all of this is an illusion.
Right.
But it's the truth, and that's
I mean, even on a scientific level, there's many different levels to that. This world is an illusion. There's the idea that, we know for a fact that, we have biological constraints. For example, we can't see certain colors, we can't hear certain sounds, you know what I'm saying? So we're limited by our biology. So what we are perceiving right now is only a small slice of the spectrum of experiences. So our brains are a type of virtual reality goggles that that we're
Mhm.
using, and that's the word. We're living in this virtual reality that's created by the natural biology of our brains. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So in that way,
Yeah.
this world is not real. This is not the real world. This is the world. This is reality being filtered through a monkey brain. You see, but then you can go even deeper, and the idea in Hinduism and stuff. This is the Maya. This is if you get sucked into this thing, you'll spin round and round, suffering,
Yeah.
and not realizing your full potential. So
Karma's so scary, man.
it is, and
It
it's
really is.
perfect though. It's
Yeah.
perfect, and I say that knowing that I'm probably going to have to deal with horrible things,
Yeah.
and that's the abyss. That's part of
Yeah.
it, and we got to do it, and just
It can come in so many different forms as
Yeah,
well.
it can.
A lot of people have health problems, maybe, you know, living under a bridge your whole life,
Mhm.
and well, I mean, it's enough of a problem. The way the environment has changed.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really unhealthy place to be. It seems in a lot of places. But but the realization of everything, being an illusion, especially if you was taught differently that this is,
Yeah.
raised that this is the reality. Don't go read your fairy tales, son.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Like, once that truth is revealed, it would have come to you every
Yeah.
so often. I'll be honest with you, like this kava that I've done,
Mhm.
I've had right now in just like the past like 5-10 minutes, I've had a really deep sense of thinking about what death is.
Mhm.
I always do this at some point, and it's interesting because what are these plants? If this comes to you and you're not out of the blue on this plant, they are trying to work with us, getting us to.
And that's what the
think about
shamans say.
this.
I mean, if you ask the shamans, they say that these things are teachers. This is,
We-
the goddess. The goddess. The goddess is what everything draws its nutrients from. It's what everything comes from. Birth. Think about birth. All of us come from woman. And the goddess birthed the universe. The goddess even birthed the god. To have a companion. So in the plants are the 3D manifestation of the goddess. You see, from the plants, there wouldn't be animals if it wasn't for plants. You see.
Do you know something really amazing? And by the way,
So we're eating the flesh of the goddess.
We are.
When we take these special plants.
Yeah.
That are information bearing plants. And inspirators and all kinds of things.
I feel like the plants could be responsible for, as we talked about earlier, not being able to go back to the way you was before.
Oh my Lord!
That's
There's no way you can take a 5 dry gram experience and be the same. There's no way. There's literally no way.
So man,
unless you're just a crazy resilient. I mean.
So this guy was talking about this, and I kind of answered my own question now that I look at it. How do you know that you're crossing the abyss?
That's a good question.
There's no way possible you can drop out, and he explained it so good. You're down in the valley. You can't get back up the way you went. And you can only go
Yes,
forward.
That's great.
I kind of feel like we're there.
Yeah, I do too.
Sometimes I just kind of want to go back up for a little bit.
Brother, I'm telling you that I've had those same feelings. I mean, especially in a particular era of my life,
And sometimes you feel kind of crazy.
Definitely. That's another part of it.
That's the confusion.
That's the
Crowley
confusion.
talked about.
Because,
chaos.
Because the majority of people living in this world, they are convinced that this is the way it is. They are convinced that having money and power,
this is all that there is,
and greed is the way to go.
The confusion and
so
chaos.
they look at us like we're crazy, and that can make you feel like, oh shit, am I crazy? But you got to trust yourself.
Dude,
you got to. It's the only thing you can trust.
Brother, do you know how hard you just hit me with that, man? I needed to hear that, dude, from somebody else, man.
Yeah.
Because I've been dealing with that
And this is
recently.
why it's so important too. There's whole communities. Look at the Ram Dass community.
Them are people.
These are great people. And a lot of the outside world look at them like they're crazy. but they are going through this process that they feel convicted, just like we do. They feel convicted to look into these things.
Truly convicted.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people, I would assume, that I was in it for the fashion.
Yeah.
You know.
And maybe it started out that way.
Maybe there are people for that, but I promise you, this is the main thing in both of our lives.
Yes, it is.
You know, if it wasn't for you,
and I never know how to explain that to people.
It's
when people ask me, what do you plan on doing for a career? You know, I want to tell them.
I know.
A career. I mean, that's just a gig to make money.
That's exactly.
I'm here for the, for ultimate liberation. But that just sounds like craziness. So you just say, I don't know.
I know for a fact. It's hard to say how many lives we've actually lived.
It is.
But I can sense it. I really can. Trying to go with what the heart's saying. The brainwashing that goes on, and I would assume that all parts of the world have some type of, if you take our country, as bad as a lot of things are, it's still relative to the evil things that North Korea goes through, either North or South, I can't remember, but they actually, the leader there, I'm not even going to attempt to say his name because I always butcher it, literally has the masses convinced that he is Jesus Christ. And, everybody has pictures. We looked at this not too long ago of, the leader, and they have to keep it spotless. Not come in and kill you or take you to jail or something like that. Kill you? And look, there is...
Either one they feel like doing, whatever they feel like doing at the time.
I'm not trying to give a pep talk here, but we have work to do.
Yeah.
And it's not...
The fact like stuff like that exists right now.
We have work to do.
Right now.
And us having this conversation, as crazy as we sound, you know what? This is our channel. We can talk about what we want. We don't want to offend anybody. We really don't.
We really want to incite the same wonder that we feel about the universe. This needs to be looked at in a clear lens, unclouded by culture.
Let's take a minute to erase what we've been told, and let's start going by, as he said earlier, the experiences that we've had. And being a free thinker is of all the most important.
Utmost importance.
It's being a free thinker. That's why in ancient times, great
you will
people
always be a slave if you're
Socrates was so hated. A lot of these people, and you know what? A lot of philosophers, a lot of them that I read have been on to some amazing things. I may not agree with everything, but
these are
parts of truth.
Exactly.
And you can connect that to this huge puzzle that we're trying to figure out. And I can sense it, the dissolving of a lot of things. It's just...
Sometimes I feel like... I remember Ramdas talking about this person, and she was having like direct divine possession in a sense.
Wait, real quick.
Yeah.
Was she the one that saw herself above the car when she was driving?
Yes. This is what I'm about to talk about. So Ramdas worked with this person that was almost, I think she was like kind of channeling Maharaji or something like that. And she really wasn't even like she's just a normal person from New York.
I would be kind of jealous in a way.
I know.
That's where my ego kicks in.
I know, exactly.
Why couldn't this be me?
And she was literally, Ramdas said the first time he met her, she was in a samadhi state. Samadhi means that you're lying there, your heart is stopped, and you stop breathing. But that's the deepest state of samadhi. You can also be in a state of samadhi where you're like very low heart rate, very low breathing. So she was able to talk, okay? And she was telling Ramdas about details about the temples in India that only Maharaji would know. This person's never met Maharaji. They're in New York City right now.
Wasn't she kind of like not a really likable person?
Yeah, like when she came out of the samadhi state, you know what she said? Who the fuck are you? Like,
To Ramdas?
yeah. So for some reason or another, we all know what a hilarious person Maharaji was. For whatever reason, he was using her, to carry out this, the message. But she says Ramdas said that after these experiences, she started to dig into spirituality, and that she was just so psychically sensitive, and that she would astral project, and she would be driving in the car, and she would be seeing the road from above the car, and he also said that she would be like cooking or something, and she might crack an egg and then like pour it on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like she was just kind of not quite in sync with the physical world. You see what I'm saying? And sometimes I feel that way. I feel like I'm out of sync with what, you know, um, with this 3D plane to a certain extent. You know, I, I long and I crave to be in that state of oneness with the universe. I desire to be in that state of consciousness where I feel I'm touching the spirit, underneath all of this. And I think that should be all of our goals. And we're never going to touch base with that as long as we're trapped and entrapped by this language net that's been cast over all of us.
Little things give me like peace about thinking about death. I just can't believe we talked for an hour and 16 minutes. There was this little scene on a Twilight Zone episode. This guy talking about somebody, he knew, like friends with. The other guy had become, he died, and his ghost was around, and he said it was so peaceful because nobody else could hear him except for him, his best friend, and he would just roam the woods, whistling in the dark.
Yeah.
I was sort of thinking, man, that doesn't sound too bad,
right?
That sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, you're just invisible, and you're gonna walk around. Like, it's little things like that
right.
can actually set up
that desire to awaken.
And you want to go to that deathbed. You want to go to the grave with as much
being like, this is going to be interesting.
Exactly. This is all that there is.
Yes.
And
it's the only game in town.
I think about it. It's is that Terrence McKenna?
Ramdas.
But yeah, anyway.
You might say something like that too, actually, though.
We're, as we mentioned, we do feel we're truly convicted to
express these feelings.
At least attempt to express these feelings, and
we, like we said, we are not awakened beings,
not at
but
all.
We are people that
a lot of people claim that
are
already.
awakening. We are awakening. And we're on this path, and we're sharing, these things on this platform to, contact anybody that may be on the other side that are having similar experiences.
Yeah. This is something. I'm going to say this in a bummer way. All we can do is chip at it a little bit at a time.
Yeah,
that's true. Really all we can do.
It's true.
But anyway, well, I don't think I have anything else to add, brother, unless you do.
I don't think so, man. I think we've covered some good material today.
Cobb has got the best of me.
I feel you, dude. I feel you. I've done a lot too. All hail the sacred plants.
All hail the sacred plants.
Ready to close it out, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare. Peace and love. We'll see you
very soon.